Hello, everyone, and welcome to K.A.T's Masterclass. For those of you who have attended a masterclass in the past, welcome back. For those of you who are listening right now on YouTube, do not forget to like and subscribe. There's a lot of yummy material on there that can make a huge impact for your teams. My Facebook people who are listening, do not forget to like and follow and welcome LinkedIn. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Kathy Belletti, and I am the owner of a training company called Motivate with K.A.T. And it's for admissions advisors and the leadership team. I'm also the host of EdUp Career School's The Scoop, and that gives me the opportunity to really talk to everyone involved in the enrollment process, from marketing to advisors to directors, career services, peeps, financial aid, everyone. And what I love about it is, a lot of times people are not given the voice, to really express what they think is broken with our higher education system, right? And it gives people the opportunity to really speak their piece, but then also offer suggestions to how we can fix this system one step at a time. So I love having the opportunity to give people a voice. So today, what I want to talk about is mastering the role of an admissions advisor. And this is super important to me and very dear to my heart because admissions is not an easy role, right? But there's a couple of things that you have to take into account when you talk about the role of an advisor. One, you have to decide, is this something that's really for you? Okay. Number one, admissions is a sales role. Period. Our students are consumers. You have to make sure that you understand that. Okay. When it comes to this role, there are going to be expectations, there's going to be metrics, and you have to be able to manage those expectations. It's so important. So you have to understand that this is a sales role. So, do I even have the drive to even be successful as an advisor? The second thing to consider is it's a people industry. When you think about admissions, you're helping people all over the world. So when you think about it, it may be a 9 to 5 or a 10 to 7 or 8:30 to 5:30 role on paper, right? But really and truly, in here and in here, it's not. You have to genuinely care about people, and you have to have the ability to really listen and understand. Do not listen just to respond. You have to be able to listen to understand what your potential students are telling you that they need and how to actually help them. That is super, super important. Okay. The third thing is you have to be dedicated. We always tell our students, if this is something that you really want to do, you have to be dedicated to the process despite what life may throw your way. Okay, sometimes life may take you this direction, and you have to be able to say, nope, this is something that I need to focus on because it's something that I need. Well, guess what? When it comes to the role of the advisor, it's the same thing. You have to be dedicated to this role despite what you're not seeing happening. All right. Like I said earlier, let's get real. Admissions is challenging. It's not the easiest role at all. And I know some of you are sitting there going, got that right. I totally get it, right? It can be challenging, but think of it this way. You have someone who's sitting at home and they've probably tried multiple things. Nothing has worked out. Or you may have that person who's tried absolutely nothing at all. But they know that they want something better for themselves. They know they want something better for their families, but they have no idea how to actually get there, right? So they're saying to themselves, I need more, but how do I actually get there? They start doing their research. Now they get you on the line. And they're thinking to themselves, okay, I think I've landed in the right place. Now it's time for you to really slow down. You have to be able to slow down and connect with that person. After you're able to inspire them and really encourage them to invest in themselves, fast forward, You get to see them walk across the stage on graduation day. That same person who said, there's no way that this is going to happen for me because my friends and my family, they're telling me, wait a little bit longer or you're not going to be successful. They speak to you. And now all of a sudden, they're walking across the stage on graduation day. Now you can say, my work did not go in vain. Now you actually get to experience the fruit of your labor. But guess what? In order to get to that experience, there's some groundwork that you have to put in the beginning, right? Dials. You got to make sure that your dials are there up front. And here's the thing, a lot of advisors are afraid of the phone. Hello, I was an advisor that was afraid of the phones. I hated the phones. And guess what? I came from outdoor sales, walking cold into companies with no appointment, selling office supplies. Now I come over to higher education and I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, no cold calling? These are people who actually requested information from the school. But guess what? Even with all of that said, it took me about 15, 20 minutes to pick up the phone and call my first student. Why? Because of rejection. No one wants to face that. And I know how you guys feel throughout the day. You're listening to voicemail after voicemail, or you're coming into contact with multiple people saying, how'd you get my information? I didn't request anything. I'm not interested right now. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Yeah, this is something I'm not going to pursue. I changed my mind, and I get it. It's frustrating, especially if 80% of the calls that you actually make, that is the outcome. But remember, every no is a step closer to a yes. So you have to make sure that you follow through. You got to make sure that you keep going because it's a part of the process. The more dials, the more opportunity to reach that person that you can actually help. So you have to put in the groundwork. Now you get that person on the phone. Guess what? Time to slow down. You're able to inspire them. They enroll, they sign on the dotted line. Sorry to bust your bubbles, my dear, lovely advisors, but this is where the job actually starts in the follow up. Okay. And here's what happens a lot of times, because this is where a lot of advisors fall short because they're thinking, all right, whew, finally got that enrollment out the way. And then they move on to the next person, forgetting the person that they invested all of this time into. This person still needs your help. And here's the mistake. And I used to think like this as an advisor also. Oh, they're excited. They sold me a really good game, on the phone. So after financial aid deals with them, they're good to go. No. The closer that your students get to the first day of class, the more freaked out they become. All right. Remember those false beliefs. Now they start thinking about, oh my gosh, my kids, what if my babysitter backs out? What if my car breaks down? I haven't been in school for 10 years. What am I thinking? Maybe I'm way over my head. I'm not even making enough money. You've already provided solutions to all of these obstacles before they agreed to sign on the dotted line. But this is what happens. And this is why, if you're going to tell them, I am going to be with you the entire time and I am going to help hold your hand, you have to make sure that you follow through. Because remember, a lot of your students are calling multiple schools and they're hearing the same default conversations, right? So you have to say to yourself, what is going to separate me? I'm going to follow through. I'm going to keep my word. I need to make sure that this student is ready and prepared to start class. Set the standard. Let them know, look, if you have a question about financial aid, you need to let me know so that I can connect you with them again. Because this is something that you need. And then go right back to their story. But here's the problem. If you don't have a story, you have absolutely nothing that you can remind them of when they stop answering your phones, when they stop responding to your emails and voicemails, right? When they're not even responding to their text messages anymore. You're going through your notes and you're like, holy crap, I don't even have anything because you didn't have enough information. Okay, that follow-up and stitch process is critical to the success of you and your students. Look, you spend so much time on the phones, right? So you owe it to yourself to actually follow through and ensure that this is a quality student who is actually going to finish what they started. They are relying on you. So you have to be able to listen to what they're saying that they need. And guess what? In some cases, being able to help them is referring them someplace else. Okay, and let's get real. We know that you have metrics. We know you have expectations. We know as soon as the class start finishes, like, okay, here we go. The next class start is in the next 5 weeks, so I have to keep going, right? So that means that it's even more important for you to actually invest and follow up with these students who you said you were going to help. All right, so really keep that in mind. Your role starts at the enrollment. So time management is going to be huge. I know that there are so many moving parts throughout the day, right? You have dials, you have people who are calling you back, you have people who are walking in, you have follow up appointments that are popping up out of nowhere. You may have people that are coming in to enroll, people that are that might have canceled before, and now you're like, okay, you have meetings. I totally get it, but this is why managing your expectations is going to be super important. You have to treat this role like your own mini business. Okay, because that's how you're going to be able to actually track and measure your success. Now, the second part of this is the connection. Remember, we're talking about listening to understand. And here's the sad part. Throughout my career, I've heard so many advisors, talking to potential students who are pouring out their lives to you. That there's certain things that they've been going through in their lives. A lot of times they don't have an outlet where they can discuss and express themselves. Sometimes their friends and family members are the enablers, telling them, what are you doing? You have two kids, who's watching them? Not me. You may have to step back a couple months and revisit this at another time, right? But at the same time, you have to make sure that you are making that connection. If someone is expressing something deep to you, for you to just respond, oh, okay. So what do you do for work? It's dismissive. It's so dismissive. Okay, this is what I want you guys to do right now. Think of something in your life that had a major impact on you. It could be something that happened that shaped who you are today. Imagine yourself expressing that to someone, and you're going deep in your past and you're digging and you're really telling them what happened and how it made you feel. And now imagine the person that you're talking to, they say, oh, so what do you normally do during the day? How do you think you would feel? You will feel totally dismissed and discounted. And you'll start to feel, you know what? I feel a little silly that I even brought this up in the first place because this person really doesn't give two damns, right? That's exactly how your students feel. You have to be able to show empathy. Empathy is a huge part of an admissions role. And here's the thing about empathy, right? It's not always about, telling a student, oh my gosh, I totally understand. You're going to get through this. Sometimes empathy is agreeing with a student that their situation sucks. You know what? That is horrible. That is tragic. I am so sorry that that has happened to you, and I have no idea what I would do if I were in your shoes. However, talking to you, you're strong, and I know that you're going to make it through, and I'm going to help you. Students appreciate that. Think about it. When things happen to you, you don't always want someone telling you, you know what, you're going to get over it. It's going to get better. Sometimes you want people to agree that your situation is horrible because now you're finding that common ground and they know that you understand. You understand that what happened to me was not fair and that it was a horrible situation. And then you build them afterwards. Okay. But I know you're dedicated. I know you're strong. We're a team and we're going to do this together. All right. So you're going to have to slow down. And a lot of times, why you guys may miss the empathy pieces because you weren't listening in the first place. So it kind of just went over your head and you just simply didn't hear them because you were talking so much that you missed their entire dialogue because at the forefront of your mind, you're just thinking, I need to get through this call because I pray that this person enrolls, right? But the key to ensuring that you have someone that actually enrolls in this quality who may stick, right, is being able to listen. And that's why the second piece of the connection is asking follow-up questions, okay? Follow-up questions are super important. Some of you may have a script, some of you may have a guide, right? But what's important to understand is if you are following a process, that is just a guide to keep you on track. That is not something that you're following where you're just like, okay, I have to ask these questions on this piece of paper because it's something to check off on my list so that I can actually get through the conversation. Because if in fact that happens, guess what? You may have someone who enrolls, but they're not going to be a quality enrollment because you really didn't make an impact and you didn't really understand what their situation is and what they actually needed. So it's very important to ask those follow up questions. And quick note, if some of you are not able to stay back, okay, this is going to be available for 48 hours on my YouTube. And also, if you're not able to stay back, meet me on Twitter Spaces tonight at 5 p.m., where we're going to be talking about appointment setting. All right. But the second part of the connection is asking those follow-up questions. So here's some examples for you. And I know some of you probably experience this every single day. And I know in a lot of cases, some of you probably just breezed through this and kept going. All right. So the first thing is I've attended 5 schools. I've heard so many times an advisor address that and say, oh, okay. All right. Interested. And then ask the next question. Hold on for a second. 5 schools. Let's pause. Let's talk about those 5 schools. What happened? Did you complete any of them? What were you taking? That is a point for you to stop and ask a question. I always say to advisors, if you feel something, say something. And so many times I hear advisors say, well, I don't know what's the right thing to ask. I don't know if I'm being too invasive. Well, here's the thing. If you feel that you need to say something because it resonates with you or it doesn't make any sense, you need to stop and ask the question. Okay, because you do not want to be school number 6. Okay, here's another one. I've been thinking about this for 4 years. Come on, 4 years is a long time to be thinking about something. Something is going on in every person's life. And as an advisor, your job is to discover what this person's story is and how, if I can I actually help them. Remember, no one wakes up every morning and goes, oh, I'm going to invest $40,000 today. I don't know where, but I'm going to invest it somewhere. No one wakes up and says that, right? What happens is something is happening in each person's life, whether they feel like, they've hit rock bottom, they're no longer satisfied in their role, they want more for their lives, or some people are just stuck and they're like, I need to try something for once. You have to make sure that you are making that connection. Here's another one. You have someone who has a degree in criminal justice and information technology. They have a certificate in cosmetology. They're currently enrolled in school for a bachelor's in psychology, and they're interested in your home health aid or CNA program. Huh? At some point you have to say to yourself, okay, all right, Kat. So let's talk about this because everything that you have named, every industry that you have named have absolutely nothing to do with each other. So let's talk about this. How did you first become interested in this program? And what's guiding you to say, you know what, I want to try this out? What's happening? When did you first become interested in healthcare? Why is that? You have to be able to ask those questions. And I always say, look, if you don't know what kind of follow-up question to ask, just simply ask why. Why is that? It forces your potential students to really open up because in a lot of cases, they've never thought of these questions before. Nobody has ever asked them these questions. So for you to be the one to say, well, why is that? Think of a kid who's 6 years old, right? And we know our kids, right? So every single thing that you say, they're like, why? And then you come up with another answer and they're like, why? But when you really think about it, that 6-year-old is really pulling from you. And they're actually forcing you to come up with more answers. And in a lot of cases, some of the questions that our kids may ask us, we've never even thought about that before because everyone is moving so fast that we don't ask these type of questions. So you have to be the one to say, hold on for a second. I don't want you to make another mistake. Okay, so before I recommend a program for you, let me get to know you a little bit better because I want to make sure that your next program is something that actually suits your personality so that when you start working in the industry, this is something that you are going to want to be in for a long period of time. And it's someplace where you can actually grow. All right. So, really making that connection is being able to listen. Remember, the person who is doing all of the talking is the one who is doing the buying. Okay. And I know sometimes you may be on the phone and you start to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm running out of breath because I'm doing a lot of talking. That means that you are. Okay. So if you get to that point, just stop and ask a question. The best interviews and conversations with your potential students are with the ones who you say, tell me a little bit about yourself. And they start going on from when they received their diploma back in 1910 all the way up to now. And those are the best conversations, right? Because now all you have to do is say, wow, oh, that's awesome, great, and then recap and advise them so that they can make an educated decision. All right. So when you really think about the role of an advisor, you have to have that it factor. This is not something where it's like, all right, I'm giving these numbers, so this is exactly what I need to do to get the job done. No, you have to be able to connect. And here's the key with connecting. If you genuinely make a connection, guess what? Now your students are going to turn around and work for you because now they trust you. They trust you with their life. They trust you with their career, and they're going to bring you 5, 10 more people who they genuinely love because they trust you. Work smart. Turn one enrollment into 5. Okay? But it's all about the connection. You have to be able to know what your role entails. You got to put in the groundwork at the very beginning. Everyone is going to have leads that suck. Okay? I've been hearing this my entire career. It is what it is. You're going to have those leads that aren't that great, but remember, every person is a potential. Even if someone calls in, they're like, yeah, I'm not ready. Or, you know what, I'm no longer interested. Never mind. What is wrong with saying, okay, so what happened? Because you did request information a month ago. What has changed? A lot of times you will find some students stop and they go, and they start talking to you. You're able to open the dialogue. Okay. What admissions is not is just trying to get through a call, just trying to get through an interview because you have metrics that you have to hit, not throwing multiple enrollments at the wall and saying, well, prayerfully, one of these people are going to hit. You have to be able to say, all right, here's the activity. I got to make sure that I dial. The minute somebody picks up, time to slow down. Time to slow down, time to really listen. And if you don't understand, ask for clarity, because sometimes our students don't understand what they're asking for either, right? So now you're on the same page. But just make sure that you are here for the right reasons. When you're talking to a student, you got to make sure, sometimes you got to close your eyes and really try to figure out, what is this person telling me that they need? And can I help them? Slow down. You guys put in so much work every single day. Okay. And if no one has told you that, I'm telling you today because I've been an advisor, I've been a DOA, I've been a regional. I know what this industry entails and I know how you feel when it comes to those days where you're like, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. And I just don't see anything, come into fruition. And it's okay. Okay, it's 100% okay, but you have to have that determination to keep going. You have to have that it factor. You have to genuinely care. You have to say to yourself, you know what, I'm doing this because I truly want to help change one life at a time. And that's how you're going to be successful as an advisor. Okay, I hope you guys were able to take a lot of notes and a lot of takeaways from today. Please make sure that you drop as many questions as you can in the chat, and I will go back and answer all of them. All right. Remember, tonight I will be on Twitter Spaces, and this is something that I have a room in Twitter Spaces every other Thursday where I get the opportunity to talk about all things higher education, what we love and what we hate. Okay. But I will be on Twitter Spaces tonight at 5 p.m. Thank you for those who were watching on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Okay, if you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure that you head on over to Motivate with K.A.T and subscribe. Because if you follow my podcast and you love video, all of my past episodes are loaded onto my YouTube channel. If you are looking for really quick tips for your team, I have so many videos that are 1 minute or less that your advisors can listen to and say, oh my gosh, I can get on the phone and say that immediately. Okay, so make sure that you head on over to Motivate with K.A.T on my YouTube channel and subscribe, because every single time I load a new tip, guess what? You're going to get pinged so that you have that new tip that you can use right away. For my leaders, if you are looking for admission support, okay, I have an entire course for your admissions advisors. If you like my training style, guess what? You get me on video, but then there's a lot of different tools and presentations that your team can actually use. And it's unlimited for an entire year. So if you are looking for a quick demo, just head on over to lessons.motivatewithkat.com. And there's also a leadership course named EDU Reverse Framework for our DOAs. New, tenured, it doesn't matter. All right. So once again, thank you all for joining me today. And I look forward to seeing you in the next masterclass. Take care.